You did a good job. All right, we got Cormac in the waiting room, so we should be able to start.
How are you?
Hey, Cormac, thanks for joining.
You got it.
All right, so let's get started. First thing on the agenda is the minutes for approval. Does anybody have any edits to the minutes as written or comments? Yes, I would just strike the third bullet from 2A. It's just incomplete. And
I noticed when I printed it out, it's the formatting strange, so I was hoping it didn't cut anything off, but we can't.
I don't think it cut anything off. Yeah, no, this is great. That was just a. So I think we're just looking for a motion to approve the minutes.
Let's go again.
And motion to approve it.
All right, Cormac motions.
I'll second.
All right, Billy seconds. All in favor of accepting the minutes from January 22nd? Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Nope. All right, great. The next continued business is so Catherine, you're going to talk a little bit more about this too, but the student presentation competition. So I think the last update was at City Council. There was a vote to support the Sustainability Division for the Sustainability Council to kind of move this along and do the awards for Lowell Public Schools at Civics Day, which is May 21st. So they all voted in favor. So we're going to try to kind of get this going. And Catherine, I think, has an update, which we'll talk about later. But we should be meeting with them.
Well, I was going to say what was actually in the motion is a little bit different than what was originally proposed by Jay Mason. And part of the reason that there's this and then some other updates I'm going to be providing is that the city has been making a concerted effort to try and harmonize their municipal boards and, figuring out what function the board should and should not play. And so what was proposed in the city council motion, which was accepted, which is generally what is our go ahead as staff to go ahead and move forward on what is proposed. I'm happy to talk about that now. I'm happy to talk about that under our updates, but it's a little bit more comprehensive than just the Sustainability Council, because the thought is here, well, what's the important thing that we really want to get through? There's this prize money. We really want to encourage students to be involved in issues around climate change. And so what's the most efficient way to do that? And unfortunately, the most efficient way is not through municipal board meetings between now and the end of May. And so it's a multidisciplinary kind of effort between the city, the schools, other community partners to be a part of the judging. What was proposed in the motion response is that there be a representative from the Sustainability Council. If you guys would like to speak amongst yourselves and determine who that is, we can send those names to the superintendent who will initiate all of these different things. But it's a little bit different than what was originally proposed, just because of some of the limitations around what they're doing with city boards. The law department's been working on trying to harmonize these efforts.
Okay, why don't we save, because I know Jay wanted to participate in this, so why don't we save
Unfortunately, unless Jay shows up in person, he didn't register to be admitted into the Zoom meeting. So again, we have had additional guidance from our MIS department that you have to register prior to the event. We can't publish the Zoom links in public forums anymore because there have been too many cyber attacks
Yeah,
related to
yeah.
that, so, but,
Okay. So, all right, I'm not sure if he was aware of that.
it was listed in the publicly posted agenda.
Okay. All right, well, so if we sent him the Zoom link,
No, he didn't register, so he wasn't sent the Zoom link.
oh, okay.
Neil registered, so. Neil
Okay,
got the Zoom
maybe,
link.
okay, maybe because, so, okay, so if, so Anna, Christina, and Ryan would have been able to join with the Zoom link without registering because they're members.
Until MIS gives us different direction. Members should be able to well, not actually register, but you should be given the Zoom link. I sent that out earlier today. And, we're always learning new things from our MIS department to protect us from the cyber attacks
Yeah,
and the
that's good.
phishing attacks and all of the other crazy things that are out there. So we're trying to, again, harmonize what the Sustainability Council does with what other bodies in the city do.
Okay, so even if you're not, so if you're a member, you don't have to register, you'll be giving the Zoom
For
link
now.
automatically. For now,
Until
okay,
they tell us differently.
okay, but if you're not a member, but you're a regular attendee, so like Liliana, if you're not a member, you would have to register independently to get a Zoom
Correct.
link, and then you would be sent a Zoom link ahead of the meeting. Is that
Correct.
right? Okay, all right,
And
just
you'd
wanted to
have
make
to tell me what your screen name is and your email and things like that. So we know that if Neil Dale is entering, it's actually Neil Dale. And not somebody.
yeah, good, okay, nice. Good job, Neil, for registering. All right, is it okay if we like disseminate that to a list of like regular attendees, so?
No, that's not something that our MIS department would allow. But
Disseminate like the instructions to register, like, hey,
the instructions are included on the agendas,
Okay.
which are publicly facing.
okay, so people get
So
them anyway.
really, basically all it is it just an email to the Sustainability Division, ask you some questions to make sure we know who you are so that you can register and be admitted to the Zoom meeting.
Okay,
Until, again, like I said, guidelines are always changing in order to try to keep the city safe. And so if those guidelines are changed for us, we can relate those to you.
cool, okay, well, that's good, I just wanna make sure we're clear on
What time do
the,
you have to register by?
I believe it was 4:30.
So just like a city council meeting thing? Okay.
all right, good to
Instead
know.
of going through the clerk's office,
Yeah.
you go through the Sustainability Division.
Okay, great, all right, so. We can, I guess, move on from that portion and then go to and kind of revisit it with your updates from Sustainability Division, but follow-ups from Chris Sullivan's presentation. So we were thinking of just to update you, Catherine, to help Chris with outreach and things like that. There's a flyer that they're putting together that we thought we could use in some of our tabling materials. So wanted to run that by you.
So was it the flyer that I sent you from Chris Sullivan, or is it a flyer that's being developed independently? Is it something that Chris Sullivan developed?
Yes,
Okay,
he said he's putting it together and he's gonna send it to me.
Okay.
So
was that not what he had me send you?
I don't know, I just emailed him about it maybe a few days ago.
Probably make sure that's channeled through the Sustainability Division.
Yeah,
We're your liaisons to all people's city government, but I know that he had, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was last week, sent a flyer kind of explaining what the curbside composting would look like. And I know that I disseminated that to the membership.
yeah, it's not that, it's
Okay.
something else. But well, once I get the flyer, I'll run it by you, all that stuff.
I'll just follow up with Chris and have him send it, and then I can send it to you guys.
Okay, great. Okay. Does anyone else have any like follow-ups from the really awesome presentation we got from Chris? That we wanted to work on?
Sorry, I missed it.
You would have loved it.
I know.
Vic. You would have loved it. It was great. It was great. But hopefully this is kind of like the beginning of us working together with them and the compost stuff is happening in March, and that's gonna be really exciting. But yeah. All right, next item, take it away, Catherine and team. Sustainability Division
Alright,
update.
so we prepared a little presentation for you guys. I know that the Sustainability Council, you were a big advocate for creating the Sustainability Division within Lowell. We were established in fiscal year 2024 and just thought we'd give you an update on all of the things that we've accomplished in that time and how we can look to what our 2026 priorities are and how we can look to partner together. So without further ado, I'm going to theoretically advance this. Technology. So let's talk a little bit about the history of the Sustainability Division and sustainability efforts within Lowell. I'm sorry, this is a PDF, so it's a little wacky. So in 2014, the first energy manager position was created using Department of Energy Resources grant funds. In 2026, that position was made permanent. In 2018, an energy coordinator position was added to enhance the work of the energy manager to manage some of the utility billing, to do those kinds of supportive sort of things. In 2019, we signed a strategic energy management partnership with National Grid, and that partnership allowed us to really begin accelerating a lot of our energy efficiency efforts, because by having a strategic partnership, Lowell is actually entitled to higher levels of incentives based on performance of goals that we set each year for electrical savings and for natural gas savings. In 2021, we re-upped that partnership and signed a more comprehensive community solutions memorandum of understanding with National Grid, which went beyond the strategic energy management and also looked at ways that we can really look to expand our influence in the broader community, how we can partner with some of our community-based organizations, how we can find solutions to help more Lowellians to become more energy efficient, to reduce their energy burdens, and to partner with the city. In 2022, we added a full-time energy advocate position. The role of the energy advocate is to be that liaison between programs like the Mass Save program, like the discount program for the utility, like fuel assistance, like arrearage management and billing forgiveness programs. And then in 2023, we created the official Sustainability Division. It became a part of the FY24 budget the City Council voted on, and by 2024, we got critical mass. We got enough staff to begin moving forward with a lot of our initiatives. So let's talk about funding. What has happened since 2024 in our funding areas? So far, we've secured $26.1 million in grant funding.
For this year?
This is from 2024 to as of 3 o'clock today.
Wow.
We had $2.8 million in utility incentives that have been added to the projects that we've implemented. And we partnered with other community organizations to help them secure $410,000 in additional grant funding. So what have we done in energy efficiency since 2024? We've initiated energy efficiency projects at 50 different facilities, including LED lighting, weatherization, energy efficient transformers, replacements of our HVAC equipment, some chillers, some more efficient boilers. We've begun heat pump installations. We have one completely fossil fuel free facility in the city so far.
Sorry, excuse me. Sorry to interrupt. There's like a really high, like pitched squealing sound on our end. Neil, maybe do you hear the same thing? And is it driving you crazy?
Oh, yes, it is. I think it's probably feedback from one of the computers' laptops open now with the system that we're on. There's two. There's two open laptops.
You guys have your,
They're not on the Zoom.
I'm not on Zoom yet.
that's so strange.
No.
Is it that
Maybe we can shut the doors and see if that helps.
Yeah.
And we can deal with it if needed. It's just it is hard to hear. I'm sure
Is it
it's
all the
also driving
time?
me- It's
Oh, it's about half the time.
yeah. It comes on and off, pretty
Well,
periodically.
let me ask you this question. Does it happen more often when we're scrolling in between slides?
No, I think it definitely just seems like some hardware next to it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that could be, but
Yeah.
try to zoom through this. We've also
Uh,
done some steam trap repairs and controls work. And those have cumulatively saved us 1.2 million kilowatt hours, 87,000 therms, 1,300 metric tons of CO2 equivalent. For our community, we've also had our energy advocate assisting hundreds of Lowellians, including 235 first-time referrals to the Mass Save program. 174 people have been enrolled in the aggregation program from third-party suppliers. 76 people have been connected with the utility discount rate, 32 utility bill forgiveness, and 14 for fuel assistance. Our energy advocate also has been able to serve our Spanish-speaking population by offering those bilingual services. We've also been partnering with CMAA to help reach our Cambodian community and again, provide those interpretation services. What have we done on renewable energy? We have contracted for over 10.2 megawatts of behind the meter solar across our municipal portfolio. We've constructed 1.2 megawatts of solar in Lowell, which more than doubled our behind the meter solar capacity. These projects cumulatively will generate around 9.8 million kilowatt hours of clean energy once they're fully built out. And that, of course, will depend on when we can get them through the interconnection queues for the utilities and when we can get the infrastructure to support the solar. We actually were very fortunate in the last Massachusetts School Building Authority round to get multiple new roofs. And so as we get those projects built out, we'll be looking to do solar behind them. We also launched new offerings in our aggregation program that offer up to 100% Mass Class 1 local renewable energy. And we also, just on Tuesday, contracted for another 20 million kilowatt hours of net metering credits, which will not only create new solar projects within Massachusetts and increase additionality, but it also will help save the city between $600,000 and $900,000 on our annual utility bills.
Where do those net metering credits come from?
There was an organization or a developer called Rewild, and they'll be built out in Massachusetts. I can't remember the exact locations of them, but they are local Massachusetts-based projects.
Awesome.
One of them are in Western Mass.
Oh, okay. Are those like long-term contracts for net
25
metering?
years.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's great.
So
A lot of old abandoned farms, like just open field space.
Yeah.
Like,
and then for our different efforts, we've also received various awards. We, in 2023, received the Gateway Cities Innovation Award for some of our work around residential engagement in energy efficiency. We won the Large City Leading by Example Award in 2023 as well. We were named by the sponsors of MassSay as a Massachusetts Climate Leader in 2024. As director, I've also been awarded the Solar Leader of the Year in 2024 by the Solar Energy Business Association of New England, the Leading by Example Individual Award from the Department of Energy Resources, and the Women in Smart Energy Award for an industry veteran.
Congratulations.
So people are recognizing the good work that we're doing in Lowell, and everybody wants to be like us. So what are we looking to do in 2026? What are some of our priorities that we're bringing forward? We're currently managing about $20.7 million in grants. We're closing out $4.2 million in grants. We're waiting to hear about $2.1 million in grants and exploring an additional $2.2 million in grants to continue to build our sustainable future, to really look to make our infrastructure more resilient, to make it more efficient, to help save emissions, to help save money, to help save energy, and really bringing those all of the above solutions to our community. These are also expected to leverage millions of dollars in utility incentives. We don't have exact numbers on those yet because it depends on whether we're successful in some of these and what we choose to do, for example, with the grants that we have. For example, the biggest grant that we have was the Renew America Schools grant from the Department of Energy. Even though it's a federal grant, we still have that, and we are currently getting back comprehensive building assessments for the 23 schools that we enrolled in that. From those building assessments, we will create a strategic plan to figure out how we're going to invest those $15 million into those 23 schools and how much more we can do with our city's matching funds and with utility incentives. We're also on the municipal energy efficiency side. We're going to continue to implement energy efficiency projects across our portfolio as funding sources are identified. Projects being planned or currently implemented include things like LED lighting, steam trap repairs, weatherization, pipe insulation, controls upgrade. Another one of the large grants that we received was the $5 million Green Schoolworks grant, and that's going to help to make our Jeanne d'Arc school more energy efficient and to decarbonize it. And we're also looking to expand our energy efficiency within our community. We were once again selected to participate in the Community First Partnership, which is the grant funding that funds our energy advocate position, so that can allow him to continue to assist residents and small businesses in accessing the programs that will reduce their energy burdens. In partnership with Mass Save, Lowell will also be promoting our status as a designated equity community to help more residents access Mass Save. Of course, I'm sure that that's always dependent on what they do with budgets, but a designated equity community are communities that have been historically underserved by the Mass Save program, and so they are increasing the incentives, particularly to market rate 1 to 4 units, where they cover not only 100% of the air sealing, but also the insulation that goes along with that. And so we have started getting some messaging around that. We're looking forward to promoting that more in our community. Solar projects, we're beginning pre-construction meetings for solar at our Shaughnessy and Elementary School and our Sullivan Middle School. These are expected to generate 3.8 million kilowatt hours of renewable energy while saving the city $88,000 in electricity costs. We expect those will likely be online before the end of the calendar year, and as soon as we have permission to operate from the utilities, we will be bringing even more renewable energy online. So the fun part of the discussion, what are the partnership opportunities we have with the Sustainability Council? We know that you guys are always trying to be involved in the work that we're doing and to really help our community out. And so one of the things, like I said, that's our priority is the designated equity community, getting the word out about that, helping more people to be able to get the basics of energy efficiency within their homes. So we are currently working with our energy advocate on an outreach plan to try and find ways to reach different people in the community. Of course, he's going to continue doing what he's doing, all the wonderful office hours and the one-to-one assistance that he offers, going to community events. We're going to be putting more information out to the public through informational communications. We're going to, I just had a wonderful conversation with
ACs.
What is it?
ACs.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. Because when I start talking, I engage with the people I'm talking to. Sometimes I forget things like that. So thank you for that.
Oh,
So I think one of the big things that the LSC has an opportunity to help us with is to really help us to spread the word about these wonderful programs, assuming that they make it through the budget hearings and everything, that can really help make Lowellians more energy efficient, because the biggest part of our emissions will come from our existing building stock. I think it's something like 60% of our overall emissions. Don't quote me on that, but I know it's about half and half for residential and commercial. And I think that if we get more residents enrolled in things like Mass Save, we help make their building envelopes tighter, we help to make their homes more efficient. That also can allow us to have a smoother transition away from fossil fuels in the future, because it all starts with the building envelope. It all starts with those kinds of efficiencies. But what we're still finding is, even with the hundreds of people that Victor has served over the last couple of years, and the hundreds before we officially became a division, is there are still a lot of people that have not heard of the Mass Save program. They don't know how to access it. They think it sounds too good to be true. So, really helping us to message that, helping to really get the word out on those kinds of things, and really amplify the efforts that we're making within the division, I think is one of the greatest opportunities. But with that, I would just like to thank you for letting us update you on these things. And then I'll take any questions before updating you on the other items that are under the sustainability updates in the agenda.
Nice, thank you for that presentation.
Any questions?
Very generous.
Question I had was, as far as like the history with the sustainability division, I think it might be nice to put like the Sustainability Council kind of lobbied to get that division put in place.
Well, I did actually mention that right at the beginning of the presentation. I know that you really had made that a priority prior to the creation of the sustainability division. And I really hope that we can partner in the future to try and make sure that we're still achieving a lot of wonderful things. I mean, I know you weren't directly involved in a lot of the really the grant writing, the bringing in the incentives, the strategic direction about things. But these are things that we would like to see you help us to amplify within our community. But we do recognize that, there was a big group of people that did really bring that to the city council. I know that the manager, when he first heard the idea, was very excited about that possibility, and it's really showing dividends. We've assembled a wonderful team, and we're very proud of our team.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I imagine, is that a presentation just for this group, or is that like a general presentation?
Is that a presentation is this presentation just for this group, or do you?
Just for this group, or whoever is watching from home.
Cool. Thanks for putting all that together.
Neil has his hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to compliment you on the presentation and the work you've been doing. I think it's a really good sign of a growing awareness and a growing movement in Lowell. As you know, we've been just as concerned as you are about how to spread the word in Lowell about the Mass Safe program. And I think you hit it pretty hard, but I just don't know. Have you thought about social media as a way of talking to people? Because talking to a large number of people is an issue.
I agree with you, and I think that's something that the Sustainability Council could really help to amplify the messages that we're getting. As a sustainability division, we don't have our own social media. We are interacting more regularly with our communication team to let the community know about some of the things that we're doing, and trying to get regular updates out in that way. But again, I think that the Sustainability Council does have a platform, and I know 350 Mass does as well. And so if there are ways that you can use your social media to amplify our message, I think that can just have a much bigger impact within the city. But I think it's also one of those things where, I think it takes a multi-pronged approach. But I think
I agree with you. We've been trying to work on this. As you know, we use our tabling throughout the season to push this message, and I've talked to literally thousands of people about it. And the social media idea is just one. I agree with you. I don't want to stop there though. I just can't understand why we can't talk to the city. I agree, I don't think that the city of Lowell has a very appealing presence. So if you send somebody an email, they're probably not going to open it. What I'm saying? Here's a message from the city of Lowell, whoopee. So I don't know how we talk to people. I just want to put it out there as a thing that communication with the communities of Lowell is a really big thing, and very, very important.
And then one of the things that we've done over the past few years is we've really tried to create those strategic partnerships with our community-based organizations. We have a pretty robust partnership with the Cambodian Mutual Assistance Association, and that's kind of been one of those relationships that's been growing and expanding the longer that we've been working with them. So it started out, we were just having conversations with them, then we helped them to get grant funding to support building capacity within their organization. And then we connected them with UMass Lowell, who got additional grant funding to try and create energy ambassadors within the Cambodian community where people can tell other people about these kinds of programs and their experience with them, and kind of seeing how those messages track with a social diffusion is the term I think that they use with that. We've also begun, our energy advocate also has weekly office hours at CMAA, and the nice advantage to that and to these other things we've been working with CMAA is that you have the interpretation services available there, because unfortunately Mass Save still hasn't built out its full language capacity to really be able to serve people well. And so we're trying to find additional ways to work around that. And I think what we're looking to do in the future is to kind of take that CMAA model and to expand it to other populations within our community, because I feel like there are so many different people in Lowell with so many different circumstances, and sometimes they don't really know where to even start. So, we're looking at educational seminars around those things. We just had an initial conversation today with somebody from the Green Consumers Alliance. They have education.
Green Energy Consumers Alliance with Mario.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
awesome.
So we think that there can be some synergies there. We partnered with National Grid through various events. I know that we usually do at least once a year, kind of like this big energy bill expo kind of thing where people can come in, they can get signed up for these programs. You have sort of a one-stop shop. You have the people from National Grid, from fuel assistance, from the city, from other organizations. And we have gotten some traction from that, but we still have a long way to go. And I think that by having these designated equity community incentives, that's something where it's kind of becomes more of a, well, if you're covering the full cost of these measures, why wouldn't I do this sort of thing? And so we're hoping that that can help to increase our uptake. But of course, we do have a good brain trust here, and always happy. We have to submit an outreach plan next week. So if you think there are things that we should add to that, very happy to hear suggestions.
Yeah, one of the towns and the clients that I work with, we've had quite a good success with this, where there's a lot of the residents in the town thinking Mass Save is a hoax, and it's all this climate jargon nonsense. And what we've had a really good thing is just kind of simple, and I know we love this, lawn signs and understanding like signage of if someone's walking by, we have a great population of people that are just walking on the streets. Signs about me like, ask me about my Mass Save heat pump, ask me how much I've saved on this, where we can put a QR code and it could be a landing page somewhere on the city that's being like, so-and-so, like great storytelling of success stories, like so-and-so installed a heat pump at no cost, and it saved me X amount each month on my.
You can use my mom's house as an
There we
example.
go.
Yes.
We already got
Right down the street
one.
from my house, that I
But,
could
like,
be an
we could
example
talk
too.
about heat pumps, we could talk about general insulation and stuff like this. And I think a big part that's always been a hurdle when talking about Lowell is the fact that there are so many renters, and understanding how we can get in contact with landlords and how we can figure out those pathways if there's landlord groups that are in conversation there, discussing that. It's also is a benefit to you, not just a benefit to the actual people in the house. It's a communal benefit. So, I think there's small approaches, but even just like if someone's curious, like what's a heat pump? There's a QR code there, and they can just quickly scan it, and be like, oh, saved $200 a month on this utility bill because you just installed this in his house. I think is really helpful and at no cost. So I think gathering that support for people and understanding the importance of mass saves. I think a lot of people just see it as a line item on their utility bill, and
or not even know that it's a line item on their utility
Yes.
bill that they are themselves contributing
correct,
to.
correct. Yeah.
Although more and more people are knowing because it's of the negative, but maybe there's a way to spin that to be like, yes, and you have all these incentives that you pay for, that are available, so.
Those are excellent ideas, particularly the landlord thing. Those are excellent ideas, particularly, I've been trying to figure out how to talk to landlords for quite some time, and if they have associations or whatever, because I agree with you, they could do a lot to help.
Yeah. And I think like you just said, is like understanding that turning that around, understanding why that line item is there, is that by you not taking advantage of the program is actually like faulting you. Like if you actually take advantage, now you're paying into it.
Yeah, you're leaving dollars on the table. by
Correct.
not knowing
Yeah.
more about it.
Yeah. And I do think that tabling at events works. I think that if you have there, and I think a lot of times it does come down where I'm a renter. I don't know if there are any solutions, but there are, and having people there to talk about it. And I think storytelling goes a long way, where you have something in just like a case study within Lowell, having maybe someone who's in a single family house, someone who like on a poster, I'm thinking is like a success story from a single family home, a multi-family home, or even just someone who's renting and only there for a few years.
For renters, Boston Housing Authority did like a pilot
Some of
program
this.
with those like those window mounted heat pumps. I think it was like 100 units or maybe 200 units. Has Lowell or like Lowell Housing Authority explored maybe something like that to get more benefits out to renters, or have a pilot program maybe happen in Lowell? Using the
So we haven't done anything like that in Lowell. I'd have to know more about the Boston program and how that pilot was funded. I'd be happy to do more research on that.
yeah, I can send it to you.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that, we're always interested in piloting new things. I know that we were one of 2 communities selected to pilot the home modernization navigator, which kind of helps people sort of figure out, you have this incentive here, this incentive there. I want to do this piece of the decarbonization piece. What do I need to look if I'm doing solar? What kind of considerations do I need for heat pumps? Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming to take all that in. And so we partnered with All In Energy, who got the Mass CEC grant to pilot it in Lowell and in Springfield. And so that's an example of an ongoing pilot. And they've been getting some pretty good reach from that, from what I understand. I don't have the numbers on it, although I asked for but any kind of things that we can do to pilot them, if we can fund the pilots, or if we can partner with somebody that's willing to do that and willing to share those results with us. So if you can send me where Boston got their money to try that out and how large of a scale it is and what we're looking at, we'd be happy to look into that.
Awesome.
I know too, but this is just funny. I was just at a hockey game on Friday, and there's so many ads. But that it could be interesting to kind of just branch out. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
Floridians go to those games where I know the contact to get up on the jumbotron, like even just like a quick like Lowell wants you to save money on your energy bill. It's like this is like scan this QR code to figure out how. Just something even as simple as that.
If you can send us the contacts, that's something we'd love to look into.
Yeah.
We should go to a hockey game and bring a sign. Nasty about all of
Well,
us.
we even could go.
Yeah.
We even could go on the ice. Like
That would be
I've done that
fun.
before. It's pretty empowering.
I haven't ice skated in a while, so if I face plant, that'll get attention. No, those are great ideas.
Any other thoughts, questions? Members of the Sustainability Division are here every month. If you think of things along the way, just let us know.
Yeah.
We'd be happy to help. We just want to expand the impact that we have on Lowell, because it's very unfortunate that Lowell has historically been underserved by the Mass Save program because it does have such great incentives. But the problem, I think, is that it gets a lot of bad press because a lot of the funds do flow to wealthier communities and, that don't have the same kind of barriers and access challenges that Lowell does. But we're looking to break down those barriers and to help one home at a time. But if we can do additional things to scale, if you want to partner with us on that, I think that would be something that would make the biggest impact on our community when it comes to our climate issues.
Yeah, I think too, just, I know Mass Save does so much with outreach and has the staff to come and, sit down for a few hours in a location at times. It might be beneficial to, see if there are, I don't know, if there are maps that show Mass Save adoption in Lowell, like there's.
None that they're willing to share with us, although we
Because
have asked for that
Because
data
that
for
would be
years.
fantastic, because I would bet you any money a lot of it's in Belvedere.
Well, I mean, I'm not disputing your hypothesis,
Yeah.
but
I wonder
but
if they even, yeah,
see, that's the challenge.
yeah,
and
it's
they-
challenging to aggregate that data because there's so many different players part of the
True.
program.
And I think it's also one of those things too, even in the most recent iteration of our Community First Partnership, they also added additional things that we had to sign for non-disclosure and data use and different things like that, because they're very concerned about exposing people's personally identifiable information. And so they haven't necessarily been willing to share adoption numbers. I mean, there's Mass Save data, which gives you overall what they have invested dollar-wise in Lowell energy efficiency and what that's equivalent to in kilowatt hours and therm save, but it doesn't allow for that kind of thing, because that was always one of, when we wanted to take over the energy efficiency programs, that was one of the things we really wanted to do, was to utilize that kind of data so you could kind of create a heat map and see what areas are being served, what areas aren't being served, and how can we really serve the people that aren't being served. Unfortunately, like I said, that's not our data. I have been in conversations with different vendors to maybe find a way to work around that. That hasn't materialized yet, but I think it's one of the things that if we have that data, we would definitely use it. It's just the utilities are very stingy with their data.
Because where I was going with that is, if there was like no adoption in a certain neighborhood, is understanding, the common ground. So the first thing I think of is if there were tabling events, is being really strategic about them, times of day, understanding when those people are there, like in that area, is probably majority renters, where the market basket near Tingsboro is probably majority owners, so understanding, having those programs there. Think about the train station, there's always a million people there all the time, whether you take the train or the bus, they all, that originate there. So like, I think, whether it's us having a presence there or we contact Mass Save or National Grid to have representatives there, I think is really helpful. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, a lot of people do think it is a scam.
Yeah.
So.
And the press around it has not
Agreed.
helped me to alleviate those fears at all. Yeah, it's not wrong.
So what are some things, like, if you could pick like 3 things that the Sustainability Council could help your division the most with, what would those things be?
I think number 1 would be promote Mass Save, and specifically help us to get the word out on the designated equity community and what that means in terms of benefits for Lowell. And I think just in general, I think that we haven't necessarily as a division done a very good job of promoting the work that we do and promoting the kinds of things that we've achieved. I mean, sometimes I look at the numbers and they astonish me. It's like, we really did that? And these are just some of the things we do. We also, had processed over 10,000 utility bills, and we're at $20 million. And found hundreds of thousands of dollars in errors in those bills and got them corrected.
Shay
And
told us
just,
about that at one of the
it's
meetings.
just like, there's so many different pieces of the puzzle, but I think it's also one of those things where we're so busy doing things, we don't necessarily promote ourselves. And so we are going to try to make a more concerted effort in the coming year to try and do that, to get more information out there, to promote it through the city's communication channels. So if you see something about sustainability on the city of Lowell, send it out to your followers as well. Let people know the different kinds of things that they can do, because I think a lot of times in our community, people are just trying to get through the day to day, and they don't know the different things that we're doing, and more importantly, the things that are available to them and how they can really make a difference. So.
We were actually, this kind of reminds me of the conversation we had last month
Mhm.
with Chris Sullivan, is that like, he's doing great work.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, why isn't this like being on the news, like the state news? Like,
Yeah.
like, and I think even a similar piece is like, looking at certain news channels just to share the success stories, to, show like, oh wow, that's actually really impressive. If you work around the numbers and being like, oh, I can probably do that too. I'm sure like a local news channel would pick up a story on that. Like I'm even thinking like larger picture would be really cool to show that it's really doing great work in that regard. And I think there's some good media coverage that can be done out there to try to mitigate some of that bad.
Need a PR person.
Well, we
That
are
was
very
pretty
fortunate
good.
to have a communications team within Lowell, and I know that we're looking to work more closely with them to get some of the stories out. But like I said, if you want to help us to amplify the work that we're doing and the work that you're doing, that would be wonderful.
So like social media, like using our own personal social media accounts to
Well,
amplify.
I know that the Sustainability Council as a group has a social media.
Yeah, we have a Facebook. Can we do an Instagram, please? Is that okay? Because we can reach more people with that.
I will tell you, it's something that we can take through the chain of in the city for decision. But I know though that I think it would be hard to get a new social media channel for a city board, because I know that they're again trying to standardize more of the things that are done within the city and within city boards, but it's something we can ask.
Okay.
Even on LinkedIn too.
Yeah, a LinkedIn. Yeah. Yeah. So do we need to vote on that, or is that something that you
Well,
can
I
just?
don't think you can necessarily vote on it. It wasn't really in the agenda. We don't want to run afoul of any kind of open meeting law and things
Do we,
like that.
do
But
we need to vote on asking for?
I can just informally ask about that as a takeaway, if that's
Yep.
acceptable to the group.
That would be great.
Where's advertising, kind of like Billy's lawn sign idea? Are there ads inside buses? Can you find ad space inside the? I don't take a bus.
Probably not with the budgets that we have, but
Not many people take.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Good.
It's free.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be good. I'm always looking up.
I just figured people are sitting there and they're, probably mostly renters, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, that's not a bad idea. I don't know what those rates are. But
They're
pretty cheap.
exorbitant. But,
You can rent a plane in the summer.
there we go. Now we're
Banner.
hitching.
Yeah.
Or have like a jet ski in the Merrimack.
Oh, yeah.
Flag.
Yeah. Or we could have like a mass state float just handing out money as they go by.
There, that would be very popular.
Right on. Yeah.
That would be very popular.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's free.
Yes. Okay, so I think having you at this meeting is like very helpful in like helping us understand what you see as like our authorized roles and like what you would like us to focus on. So it sounds like outreach using social media. Anything else that you see us helping with or working on as a?
I mean, we're always, in the sustainability division, it's always a dynamic kind of moving thing. We do have our existing grants. When we applied for those grants, we had very robust community benefits plan, but then there's a change in administration, and basically we've been told you can't really implement any of those, so that limits kind of the public interaction and things like that we had planned, all these wonderful things. I know that my wonderful energy coordinator came up with all these wonderful ways that we could really amplify what we were doing in that grant. But so it's kind of a changing landscape, and there might be things that come up as we go along that, maybe we didn't know that there was going to be funding for this, so we pursued it and got the funding. Maybe there are opportunities in there, maybe there are other things that we're looking at, but I think that that's one of the things that was really a benefit, I think, when they created the sustainability division. And really, every month, I may not be able to be here every month because of the 20 millions of dollars that we're funding and things like that. But we always have sustainability presence at your meetings, and ask us questions about what we're doing. We were always happy to share those things, and there may be synergies that we're not thinking about right now. What's always at the top of my mind is how can we serve our community more? How can we help make them more energy efficient? Because I think that energy efficiency is one of the most, the fastest and most impacting ways that you can really decrease emissions. And it's also an on-ramp for further decarbonization. Because if you put a heat pump in a leaky house, that's not a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. I mean, I think it would help. Maybe have like a something that these are the things that you are authorized to do, so that we don't have to spend a month voting on it and then asking your permission and then having you run up the chain. And so these are like your core things that we want the Sustainability Council to really like lean into and move forward on. Like, this is what we sort of like authorize you to do without having to, run it up the chain every time. I think that would be helpful in like making us the most effective.
I understand that. I can't guarantee that I can give you a specific list, because even within our day-to-day work, there are a lot of things that before we move forward on certain things, we have to get permission from various people. But I'd be happy to work with our team, work with our leadership, and see what those specific kind of things are. I think, I would like to say, you can repost things that the city of Lowell government does on social media, and or use authorized kinds of things that help promote what we're doing. But I would be negligent in my duty if I said, yeah, do this, do that, do that, do that, without really saying, well, did you think about this? Did you know about this, Catherine? But happy to take that back and have the team follow up with what those kinds of things are.
Okay, great. Yeah, here's like an example, just to put it in like concrete terms. Things like tabling at events, like just to kind of cut back, like to be able to do things and like be more nimble as a council, because like things pop up, right? Like we just got asked to do, this is on the agenda later, but I'm just using it as an example now. We got asked to table at the seed swap on March 21st. And like things like that, I would like to think that like, yeah, go ahead, get pre-approved, like work with your division. Like Cynthia, I think last time we did it, like you were able to like print out documents super quickly that were authorized by the city. Here's your stuff, there you go, so stuff like that, just things like that that are just like very easy to put into a bucket. Yes, tabling at events, go for it, we'll give you materials. Anything else you guys can think of that like would be helpful avenues for us to help you accomplish what you're trying to accomplish with, you have a team, we're all people that can be at events and like doing that sort of thing as a way to support you. I think it'd be nice to kind of be able to move quickly on if we could.
I agree with the sentiment, but I will say that nimble doesn't necessarily describe a lot of municipal government functions, including municipal board functions, but always happy to try and find ways that can be expedited. Great. You have a question, Neil?
Oh, just another suggestion for possible outreach. For instance, members of the council could speak to neighborhood groups. They could speak to different community organizations, and it could be very helpful.
Yeah, that is something we've done, and that has been a really helpful kind of thing as well. That's you're right. We should bring that back up to the forefront.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of I've been on the Sustainability Council for a while, and the reality is that prior to the sustainability division being put in place, the Sustainability Council was able to do a lot more. And since the sustainability division got put in place, we are essentially gridlocked to just promoting people to go to the energy advocate. And that seems like that was the push from your presentation. And I just wanted to kind of bring that up because I think I think that this has been pretty frustrating for a lot of people volunteering their time. And so I'd like to see something happen in a direction where we're actually leveraging the expertise that we have on the council and not just being continuously stuck in a cycle of running it up the chain of command and then nothing ends up coming to fruition.
I completely understand that frustration. I don't know what the Sustainability Council was like before the Sustainability Division existed.
We ran the Solarized Lowell project.
Well, I know that I may have come to one meeting a year when you invited me to talk about some of the things that we were doing. But this is what I will say though. I think that within municipal government, there are structures and, there's different kinds of emphasis with different types or different leadership that comes through and different things like that. And, before there was a sustainability division, I can see how, the council would see it more as your role to really try and bring additional things forward because there wasn't that liaison to the city government. But again, I understand the frustration with bureaucracies and things like that, but it's kind of like I had told different people that have interviewed for Lowell Sustainability Council meetings, a lot of times you won't necessarily be able to move things quickly, but you can have a bigger impact. And I think, just what we've been able to accomplish in the last couple of years shows that's the case because we're not imposing things on you that aren't imposed on us as a division. There are just certain things that need to be channeled up. And unfortunately, I can't say X, Y, and Z, this is fine. I don't have that level of authority. But as you start to move it up the chain, then you're also competing with other things that are going on in the city. I mean, sustainability is what I live, eat, and breathe. I walk into work and I think about new things that we can do to improve our community. And what about this? And what about that? And what if we put these things together? But all of those things still require you to harmonize what you're doing with other departments within the city. It needs to harmonize with the direction of leadership. It needs to harmonize with how the city does its work. I know one of the things that's going on right now is the law department has been doing a review of all of our municipal boards and trying to determine and provide guidelines about, how we can make sure that we are still staying within the guidelines of things like open meeting laws and how we can really use the different kinds of boards because different boards have different types of authorities, but how can we have continuity amongst the boards? And so what you may perceive as things that are slowing things down and
We haven't been able to do anything since you've arrived, Catherine.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I think there's a lot of question about what is our role as a board. A lot of the other municipal boards have authority and we don't. We don't have any authority.
You're not the only board that doesn't have that kind of authority.
What board?
But why do we exist if we don't have any authority?
You're not gonna have decision-making authority, like for example, the planning board. But then again, you don't have the same level of commitment outside of your board meetings that they do as well. But again, those are guidelines that we anticipate coming from the law department in the, near future, I don't have those guidelines. I'm not privy to those guidelines. What I'm telling you though, is that as your liaison within the board, from what we do know, we really are trying to harmonize how the different boards work and making sure that we are really not having anybody kind of, I don't know how to say this other than, you know, municipal boards are, you know, you're appointed and serve at the pleasure of the municipality. You know, anytime that there's a new member that comes in, it has to be go through HR and then a recommendation.
We
to the
understand all of this.
manager.
We're just dancing around the topic that we're trying to discuss.
I think, yeah, yeah.
Sorry, the HVAC
Yeah,
just kicked
I
off
think,
here,
I
so
think
we're
in the
having
interest,
trouble.
yeah, in the interest of time, I think we're trying to get to a specific question and specific point. So I know you're trying to explain things,
I
but
guess I don't know what the question is or supposed to.
so what other municipal board would you compare us to in terms of like? the
I don't know all the municipal boards, so I can't make that comparison, but I know that the law department has an eye on all of those things, and they are trying to harmonize the functions of the municipal boards.
So this kind of goes into the, I think we're trying to, so I've had on, and I know the city manager is very busy, but we used to have like a biannual meeting with the city manager's office and, you know, you as our liaison. So I think us trying to get that meeting scheduled, I think we've been asking for that to be scheduled for at least half a year now, would really help us get some clarity on what our role is, since the city manager does know all the municipal boards.
I can provide you an update on that,
Okay.
because as you've been asking, we have also been asking and sending that communication through there. And really as this effort to try and harmonize the different boards, since the creation of the sustainability division, it's really the thought of leadership that anything that you have should go through us and not directly to the city manager's office. There's a whole large city to manage, and that the reason that you have liaisons within the city board is the opinion of the leadership, the legal department, and different things like that. Those things need to be channeled and not necessarily be an individualized meeting. So
Or a city
those-
manager appointed board, so I would
I
assume
am
that.
an employee who is hired by the city manager, and I don't get regular checkups with the city manager. But again, even with city manager appointed boards, there aren't other boards that I'm aware of. Again, the law department is working to harmonize all of this, to have that kind of twice a year meeting. And I do know though that since we have been in existence and since 2024, there hasn't ever been a twice a year meeting. I think there's been one meeting in 2.5 years that we've been in existence. And
I think we had two, we had one before the sustainability division was created to like talk about the placement of the sustainability division with the city manager, and then we've had one since.
right, but
And
those
then
aren't twice a year meetings. But what I'm saying to you is the guidance that I've been given, because I have been sending this up the chain. And the guidance is that those kind of meetings are not appropriate, and that any request that you have should be channeled through your liaison, which is the sustainability division.
So is that a no?
Stepping down from the council.
That is a no.
That is a no, we're never gonna have a meeting with the city manager or
Correct.
just
That is the guidance that I've been given
by the city manager?
by leadership.
So I would just go on record and say that's extremely frustrating to hear as a volunteer board who commits their time once a month in their effort to kind of help sustainability in the city, that we don't get any sort of access to like any sort of regular meeting, even if it's once a year. Like I know, you know, it's a very busy city, but that kind of shows a bit of a not valuing our time commitment and expertise.
I understand how you can feel that way. All I'm saying is that the city boards are created to serve the city, and if the leadership of the city doesn't believe that individual boards should have individual access. I mean, everybody, I understand and we appreciate how you do volunteer here. I know that if you feel like it's not worth your while, I know that there are also opportunities to leave the volunteer position. But I'm just saying that even though sustainability is a priority in the city, I'm just saying that there are a lot of other competing priorities in the city. And at this point, there's not a commitment to single out the Sustainability Council for annual meetings that other boards don't have, especially when you have a sustainability division that is working on the things that ostensibly is very important to this group, and that we can channel those things and we can do things that, you know, can influence and inform the leadership. And that's the update that I have for you.
Do you feel that it's necessary to have a sustainability council, period?
I think that there can be a valuable synergy between the Sustainability Council and the Sustainability Division. Because like I said, we have a lot of work to do. We're doing a lot of valuable things within the city. And we just discussed ways that you can help to amplify what we're doing. You also provided some very valuable feedback for things that we can do to help meet our 2026 priorities and our goals.
Does
I
the
think-
sustainability division need the sustainability council to exist or no?
I think I just answered that. I think there's some valuable input that you
But
provide.
does it like, is there any like stipulation? I think in the past there was maybe a need for a sustainability council for the sustainability division to be able to
The part of the green communities.
I think
yeah.
the original Green Building Committee did come from the green communities. I think that was how it originated. And I think that, you know, there's been some valuable work that's been done over the years. And I think there's a lot of valuable work to still do. But I think it's up to each individual on this board to determine how you want to contribute to that. And I understand the frustrations. I understand frustrations of bureaucracy and, you know, essentially getting permission to do a lot of different things. But again, in a municipal environment, things don't necessarily move fast, but as you can see, you have an impact. And these suggestions that you provided to us tonight are going to have an impact in our community. And that's what we're all about in the Sustainability Division, is having an impact. And we would love to have members of the Sustainability Council to help us to have that impact as well.
Boy, this is just pure lip service. I'm gonna step down from the council. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Okay. So that would mean there's no longer a quorum.
Well, AC
AC's
here.
on. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
AC's still here. Yeah, I want everybody to feel valued, like their time is valued, like what they're doing is making a difference. And you know, we obviously appreciate all the hard work that you've been doing. I think it's just, you know, it's a little frustrating, I think, at times.
I understand that. And, you know, you're not the only ones who are frustrated. So, but again, within a municipal setting and in a municipal environment, I think there is just making sure you're serving the municipal purpose. And like I said, I feel like we've gotten some very helpful feedback, and I appreciate and thank you for that. But I do know that was one of the updates that I was asked to provide, and I have been asking consistently about those kinds of things, and that's the answer that I received.
Okay, I appreciate you asking. I know there's, you know, nothing you can do.
Can I say just something briefly? I was just thinking about the discussion we all had of how to get the message out, and there's things I wouldn't have thought of, the buses, the yard signs. So, and then when you guys provide those kind of examples and ideas, then we take them back and try to work them into something and see if we can pass them up and get a permission to do that. So, I mean, that idea generation, I mean, that's not something I would have thought of either of those, you know?
Yeah.
So that is value. You're providing value.
Yeah, I will say, I think to kind of echo what Mikaela was talking about, I do think that if there is a way to formulate maybe an updated guideline, just so if we do find that, people are interested in the committee and really want to know their responsibilities, I do think it would help, because I do think sometimes I question my own responsibilities. And I really do appreciate, even just if all this space is to just share those ideas of, I'm on the ground in a different part of Lowell than you are, and I'm noticing these things. I think that is really valuable as, a sustainability professional that lives in Lowell and works in Lowell. I think that's very valuable. But I would appreciate an increased guidance going forward so we can be even more effective.
And I agree with you,
Yeah.
and I know that that's something that's being worked on,
And I'm
like
glad
I said,
to
at a
hear that it's
higher
worked on.
level. I
Yeah.
think. But I think that that'll be very helpful to everyone.
Mhm.
And I echo Cynthia's sentiments. I really sincerely have been taking notes, and these are
Absolutely.
really wonderful ideas that I think we can implement and make that impact in our community.
'Cause
So don't ever think you're not valuable.
Right, because I have a colleague who's interested in joining,
Oh,
who
nice.
lives in Lowell and is the conservation agent for Carlisle, and she was asking for updated guidelines. I didn't have any for her, so I just, I'm glad to know that's in the works. She was supposed to come today, but she had.
Oh, we would love to have her.
Oh, sorry, questions, let's go to Neil first and then AC. I'm sorry, I don't know whose hand was up first.
Well, I just wanted to reflect from the outside that the course of this meeting, I have seen one idea, which actually coming from anyone about what the Sustainability Council could be useful for. And Catherine, there's probably 10 or 15 different subjects in Lowell that you could ask, but you didn't bring them forward. I don't think you are actually thinking about what the Sustainability Council could do. I really don't. Because if you did, there's lots of ideas, but I just don't hear it coming from you.
Well, I guess I would push back on that, Neil, and I do appreciate that feedback. But I think, when you have a sustainability division and you're looking at the ways that you can impact your community. I mean, like I said, I live and breathe all of this, but I think, there are certain things that make a bigger impact than others. And to me, energy efficiency makes the biggest impact in our community for our residents, in our municipality for what we save from the energy efficiency that we've implemented. We have been one of the few communities within the Commonwealth that just this year we reduced our municipal energy use 20% versus our baseline. And for a community with as large an energy footprint as Lowell, that's pretty significant.
Well, I think what Neil's saying is, what can the like we appreciate and recognize all of the great work that you have done as a sustainability division. What we're trying to do is like generate ideas on like how we can be involved outside of this once a month meeting and what we're authorized to do. And I
Yeah.
do just, it's 7:50. We still have some updates we want to get to. AC, I want to give you have your hand up.
No, just really quickly, I've been putting some stuff in the chat about the whistling noise. I don't know. I came in late.
We identified it. There's nothing we can do. Sorry about that.
Okay. That and I mean, I assume at this point we're sort of an advisory council as to what we hear on the ground, bring it to Catherine. And, if she needs help disseminating information, we can be the foot soldiers to that. That's how I assume the roles were occurring. Is that not what's occurring? I personally like a little bit of guideline, especially when dealing with the entirety of the city, because politics makes for strange bedfellows.
Yeah, so like I said, the law department is trying to harmonize how our boards function in Lowell. I think there will be more specific guidelines that will be coming out about that. But the way I think about the Sustainability Council is I do think of us as, really partners that you can see things from your perspectives that maybe we haven't seen. As Cynthia pointed out, there were some good ideas that were generated here. I'm just here to tell you about what our priorities are as a city division, because from where I'm seeing like the big picture of the different things going on in our community, I can see the things that would make the biggest impact, and we're all about impact in the sustainability division. And it may not be the most exciting thing to talk about mass save, but well, I'm a nerd, so sometimes I will really geek out on building envelopes and, emission reductions and things like that. But it is the thing that does make the biggest impact on people, because you not only help to, make people more comfortable in their homes, they use less energy, they pay less
we get
money.
it. Sorry, I know, I could talk about Mass Save a lot too. I'm just trying to,
Can I
yeah.
just say one thing?
Yeah.
Like, if we go off tonight, and I'm not saying you're saying this, but if we go off tonight, like, our job is outreach. You know what I mean?
Which it's been for a year and a half, like we haven't really gotten much more than just spread the word.
Well, I think you're downplaying what
Yeah,
value there actually is in that.
Yeah, okay, can we do a lightning round of specialized stretch code update? So we spent, that's one of the initiatives, Vic, you worked very hard on bringing people to the table to discuss that, and we run it up the chain. Is there any?
Yeah, I have an update on that. So Lowell is doing a broader review of a lot of our guiding around zoning and different things like that. I took your recommendation. I have passed it along to the multidisciplinary group that's doing that. So they're doing that as part of their larger comprehensive zoning review. I don't have a timeline on when that will be completed, but when it is completed, we can report out to you.
As a sustainability council, can we write up a recommendation for that interdisciplinary review
Vic already sent us a written recommendation for that.
as
When you
a
had-
sustainability council member?
I believe that you guys, I think you actually
After
sent
that
it as,
meeting?
after that meeting, you actually sent it as an email, as like a capturing of the different things that the Sustainability Council had discussed. And it was very comprehensive, and the additional information that you provided about some of the studies that they've seen afterwards and things like that. That's also going into the comprehensive zoning review.
Oh, so that document that you provided went straight to the.
It's going to the multidisciplinary
Okay, great.
review team. So I don't have a timeline on for you that, but that recommendation was sent along.
Awesome. So could we, there's probably some like open meetings that are happening as part of that zoning change. Is that something that we should show
Well,
up to? And
I will say this, the review is being done with different teams across the city. Once that review is complete, it'll have to go before city council. I don't think that is in the short term. I think because it is so comprehensive, it's gonna be a longer term kind of thing. But the city council agendas are posted on lowellma.gov. There's a little button on the front, so if you monitor that, you'll know when they're coming up.
Okay. All right. Anything more on that? Okay, sorry, we gotta get through this. Time just flies. We're having so much fun. So the manager's office meeting is a no, right? Is there anything more on that? Okay. Let's just get the March 21st UML seed swap. Who wants to table? I'm gonna be there.
I have class.
Okay,
If
But I'm
I
gonna try to show
don't
up.
work, I will definitely
okay,
show up.
awesome. Okay,
We'll get you some designated equity community flyers.
please. Yeah, that would be great. And I don't know if we want to like set up like a short 10-minute like Zoom call download of like your knowledge about it to whoever's tabling, just so that we could be, because when we get
some supplemental information. about
yeah, because when we like get the flyers, and if have you tabled on it yet at all anywhere?
it. They just got us the flyers. last
Okay,
week.
awesome. So yeah, if you just want to tell it, or if you want to table with us, be there. But just to be like, this is, what we would say. Okay. All right, AC, you want to say something?
I was gonna also say I will try for Saturday, but I have some new responsibilities, and I don't know if you already went past this, but as far as getting a documentary series going on our garbologists, I'm still into that.
All
Are we
right.
still looking at that on the side?
Yeah. Yeah. We totally could.
Garbologist is Chris Sullivan.
yeah, garbologist.
I was a little confused.
I saw your
hadn't heard that.
exchange on that.
Yep. Neil?
Catherine, I just wanted to get clear on the process you were talking about for the opt-in specialized stretch code. You said that it's going to be brought up with I think you said the multidisciplinary council, was that it?
Yeah, well, it's a multidisciplinary team. In other words, there are people from different parts of city government that are comprehensively looking at our zoning within the city, and this has been added to that comprehensive review.
Okay, so the comprehensive review, it makes it sound like it's a fairly large, broad sort of set of considerations.
Correct.
And so the opt-in specialized stretch code possibility has been added to their list
They
of,
are reviewing that part of their more comprehensive review of our zoning and law. Yes.
you don't have any sense of the timeline on that. It sounds like it could take years.
I'm not going to put a timeline on it because I do not have information like that.
Hopefully we're still all here when they.
Okay. Just wanted to get clear. So this multidisciplinary team is an interesting concept. Is that a city board or advisory council, or what is it?
It's just a term that I have used in previous professional settings. That means you have multiple disciplines involved as a team looking at your zoning.
It sounds like a very official thing if they're actually reviewing the zoning laws. So
Yeah.
do they have an official position?
It's my unofficial term for what is going on internally. So you
What is
have
it called? It's called, what is it?
you have planners involved, you have law department involved, you've got department heads involved, you've got a whole bunch of people that are involved looking at our overall zoning and seeing how that serves our city in the direction that we're going.
And since it's individuals from each of these departments, they can't be working on their own accord. They must be, who's running the show?
I don't have that answer. I just know that,
After all this talk of boards and stuff like that, you have this free floating thing that's redoing the zoning laws that doesn't even have a name. How interesting. Okay, I wanted to know. I wanted to get clear on it. Thank you for your help.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a general term. Multidisciplinary is a general term that's used in a lot of fields to explain when people from different fields get together to work on a common project.
Right, and they generally do that under the aegis of a particular organization or format.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound like that's the case.
City of Lowell
the city of Lowell
is
the
that.
larger.
Is someone from the sustainability division on that interdisciplinary represented on the interdisciplinary?
Not at this point.
Well, that should change. Can we?
I trust my colleagues to be able to look at things very comprehensively, but I have passed along the recommendation.
Okay.
As part of that larger review.
Cool. Maybe we'll just keep it as a continued business follow-up, just asking hey, have you heard anything?
If you want to hear that there are no updates each month, I mean,
never know. It'll be a quick agenda item. All right. Speaking of quick agenda items, the student presentation competition. We talked a little bit briefly, but not enough. Is there?
So the motion response outlines the steps that are needed. The primary place the sustainability council would be needed would be as a representative to kind of create as part of a team those judging criteria and to judge the products, but there are different pieces for different parts of it, and that was accepted by the city council. That's how we're moving forward. If you as a council want to designate somebody to be the representative for the sustainability council on that, I'm happy to do that. If you want to take that back and just have the superintendent reach out in general, but a lot of times it would make it easier on his office if you guys just could decide amongst yourself who you would like to be the LSC representative on that team. Or if you don't want to be on that team.
So this is something that I think Jay started spearheading, and I think a few members of the Sustainability Council have been working on kind of while we were waiting for approval over the last 5-6 months. So first question to you all is there anybody else that's wanting to be involved in this as a judge? I think it's what's proposed is a 5-person team. with one representative from the Lowell Sustainability Council. So is there one person that, we can figure it out, but I'm kind of wondering, like, is there room for more than one person for the Sustainability Council to
I
be on the
think to
team?
really allow for the timeline, you know, again, you want to make sure you're not running afoul of open meeting laws. You want to make sure that there are things that you're doing, and the thing that I outlined in the motion response is what was accepted by city council. I think given the timeline, it's the most expeditious thing, so I would say no.
Well, this was drafted without any feedback from the Sustainability Council, and that was a real slap in the face, to be honest, because this is an initiative that people on the Sustainability Council spearheaded and waited months, and to have this come out without any feedback from us, or even dissemination from us, this came out like is not a good way to collaborate with people that have put in a lot of effort.
I think, again, part of the structure was also formed in mind with this broader review that's going on of our municipal boards. There's a question, you know, in terms of the steps that are involved in the process. Are those municipal board functions? That question is a broader question that is being addressed by higher levels than myself. And it's something that if you wanted a definitive yes or no, then you wouldn't be able to do anything by the time that Civics Day comes around. And so by kind of having representatives from different places within the community, it not only can give the students broader access to different stakeholders in judging their thing, it also makes sure that no individual organization has too much of a heavy lift, so that we can do what we really want to do, which is we really want to get students educated about climate change and excited about climate change. And sometimes in doing that, you know, there are just different kinds of hurdles that we try to bridge those gaps. And that's what the response was. And, you know, because that came from the mayor, there's sort of anything that goes on the city council agenda. It comes from the maker of the motion. It is channeled down from the management level to individual departments to answer the responses. The responses go back to the city council where there's discussion, or in the case of this, there was no discussion. We're happy with the response, because what we're really looking to do here is to, again, make the impact on the students, and to do that in the timeline that we have, given that it's almost March and that this is occurring in May.
And this was brought to you in October.
And it was sent up the chain in October.
Frustrating. I'm just gonna say
I
frustrating. I'm sure you,
understand.
like, if facts are facts, the timeline is the timeline. This is kind of crazy, but
I
hey.
can't tell you how many times, even as a municipal employee, that sometimes you have to ask for things again multiple times, because people have a lot of different things going on, you know, and I think that that's just a reality. Anytime that you have a city government that is responsible for as many things as the city of Lowell is responsible for, we're not as.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Does anybody else have anything on that? Okay. So proposed items for 2026 meetings. So this is just like I said, it's really hard for us to understand how we can provide value here. So one of the things is what we're doing is just inviting outside people through your office to come and present at these meetings, to engage with them as a council, learn about what they're doing, learn about things that maybe we can do to help. So I've listed, and this list has been at your office for a while now. So I'm wondering, is there any, have you sent any invites to any of these people, and can we get any of these on the
So
schedule?
not all of these invites can come specifically from our office, and for the ones that have been, you know, higher ups, those requests have been sent. However, what I don't have, I know that you have these kinds of lists, but what we don't have, what I haven't received, is kind of like who your priorities are in terms of, if you were to say 1 to 10 of inviting these people here, do you have an idea about that, or is that something you'd like to discuss in a future meeting as a council?
Whoever we can get
as soon as possible filled in. Like, I would just reach out to all of these people on the list and see who can come to which meetings. Our meetings are the fourth Thursday of every month, so. Yeah, whoever you can slide it. I mean, is there anybody here that anybody would wanna prioritize over another? We're trying to make this as expeditious
I
as
feel like the
possible.
further we get away from the day that Tara went to that sustainability day, the harder it's gonna be for him to, I don't know.
And that's something that needs to come directly from the city manager's office, and that request has been sent.
Okay, great. Is there anyone that you know of that can probably come soon that we could just lock in for
I'm
March?
happy to reach out to my contacts within those individual spaces. I did, I know I have had conversations with some of the people, and their question was, what do they want me to talk about? So again, I don't know if that's something you want to, as a council, discuss, because there are a lot of different things. I mean, some things it's obvious, like Frontrunner City. Yovani is the one who's been spearheading that. There is a Frontrunner City website on the city webpage if people want to learn more about where we are in that process. But there may not be a lot more to report, because I know there are a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes around that. But if you wanted to educate yourself in particular on that one, but open space planning, what specifically do you want our planners to talk about?
I think anything that relates to sustainability, like it's through the lens of our mission, which is to promote sustainability in Lowell. So anything that pertains to that.
Well, I'm happy to reach out to my contacts. I think, again, depending on what their schedules are and things like that.
Yeah.
Happy to put those, and some of those requests have been put in already. I haven't heard back from them. Happy to follow up.
I know that with the LINC project, I know a big person on that, who used to work with Craig Thomas.
That's what I reached out to.
Yeah, would be someone I know. would
He
be
hasn't
interested.
committed to a date at this point.
Yeah.
So.
But I think, going forward is like talking about sustainability, and then, from your lens of what the council can do, how we can be of assistance in any of these projects happening in the city, or any initiatives that they need assistance in, I think would be great.
I think I think that'll help in setting those things up, because like I said, we have very easy to be ignored when you reach out to people. Ignore you when you don't have specifics, but I think, with that lens of how can you help in the things that they're already doing, I think that's a good takeaway.
And even if it's just sending a representative, if like, say they have meetings and we wanted to know more, like if I am available to go and just
Oh,
be
yeah.
the liaison.
And then report
between-
back.
Exactly, like I think even if it's as small as that, it's just that increased communication between these different projects going on. I think even that would be
That's a great-
productive.
That might be
thing.
easier.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm happy to draft an email to send to them.
Emails can get ignored regardless of the source, but we're happy to, we want to, again, try to harmonize what we're doing.
Oh, no, I meant like as an ask, because you said being specific in an ask was a good.
I think that having the guidance of, trying to learn about what you're doing and seeing how the Sustainability Council can amplify your efforts, I think that's kind of the piece that wasn't clear when I spoke. I actually spoke to one of these individuals, and that was the question is, what do they want me to talk about? Anything that can relate to sustainability and how the Sustainability Council can amplify your efforts, I think is the answer to that. I didn't have that answer when I had that conversation.
Yeah, AC. And we're a little over time, so.
No, just really fast, I had a question for Catherine as far as, has anyone become an Envision sustainability professional on the Sustainability Council? Or
The
Part.
Sustainability Commission, no, we haven't. Again, we have a lot of balls in the air right now, and unfortunately, that's not one of the things that's been a big emphasis for us. Because there's always going to be more things you can do, and with the limited time that you have, with all the other things that we have been going on, that hasn't been something we pursued at this point. Although it's still there as a potential to pursue in the future when more capacity and time opens up.
I'm sorry.
Envision. So AC had shared some information about kind of the envision framework, and having professionals is really trying, my understanding in AC, you could probably explain it better. It's kind of like being very, what's the word I'm looking for here? Strategic, I think, and just thinking comprehensively about things you're doing, how you evaluate them, and the framework within that. Am I misrepresenting that completely?
Yeah, I think so, especially for any public infrastructure being built. If it's already grandfathered in, it's already grandfathered in, but moving forward for any public infrastructure work.
I mean, like I said, it's not something that we have the capacity to take on at this point, but we always appreciate having additional information for things that we can do as we build more capacity and as time and resources free up.
Bless you. All right, I think we've gone through everything. Any upcoming events? Winterfest is this weekend. Go talk about heat pumps at Winterfest,
If
everybody.
you go to the Soup Bowl competition, you can say hello to our energy advocates.
Wonderful. We'll say hi to Victor. Are there any webinar? Yeah, maybe we can talk about the Green Energy Consumers Alliance
If you
partnership
want an
at the
update
next.
on that next month, I can have my staff provide
Okay,
that.
awesome. Awesome. Alrighty, motion to, or do you have something else?
Oh, no.
Motion to adjourn, anybody?
Make motion to adjourn.
Alright, I took very rough minutes, oh, I'll vote to adjourn. Yeah, okay, everybody, great, okay. I'll write these up and send them out. And I'm gonna put together a